Hi, I'm Matt Harkleroad. This is Chris Adams. We're going to give you our projections for the NFL 2018-2019 season, who we think is going to make the playoffs, who we think is going to get to the Super Bowl, all those things, AFC, NFC, we're going to run it down.
This is a little bonus video for you. We hope you enjoyed our QB rankings. We've got the running backs and receiver rankings coming for you real soon. In the interim, with the season starting tomorrow, we thought this was a great time for a little bonus coverage.
The season's starting in earnest.
Yes.
It wasn't getting Thursday.
Yes,
we do know the Eagles are 1-0 and the Falcons are 0-1. But all that being said, let's try to kind of run through. I promise you, we did not use that game's results.
That had no impact in our predictions.
Exactly. So, for me, AFC East, I'm taking the Pats. You can't not take the Patriots at this point, especially in a division that's garbage for the most part. AFC South, I'm taking the Jaguars. They proved that they should be there. You've got maybe the best defense in all of football. Good reason to take all those teams, or that team specifically. Taking the Steelers in the AFC North, it's kind of like a who else, maybe, is the question. I mean, you've got the Ravens. They don't look like they're going to be much better. You've got Cincinnati, who's kind of been floating around, but what did Cincinnati do to get any better? I don't know the answer to that. And then you've got your wild card Browns, who, in fact, I'm taking as a wild card.
Let's pause for a minute there. You're actually taking the Cleveland Browns.
I'm taking the Cleveland Browns as a wild card. I want to put that out there. The reason I'm taking them is I just think the AFC is garbage. Like considering... Like, the NFC it's hard to pick wildcard teams. There's lots of teams that could be in the championship could be their division winners that are probably going to be wildcard teams. I don't know how to even sort it all out. But for right now, I'm taking, let's say, the other one I left out was the West. I'm going to take San Diego just because there's no other real options. The AFC, I think, is not great right now. There's a couple of good teams, the Pats, the Steelers. Otherwise, they're not that good. So Houston is my other wild card team, and on the NFC side, I'm taking Philadelphia, obviously, for obvious reasons. I think they have maybe the best offensive and defensive line in football, and, they just won a Super Bowl. Why not take them, right? Green Bay, Aaron Rodgers, end of story. Atlanta, they've been super good. I mean, they took Philadelphia. They got closest to beating Philadelphia besides the Patriots in the playoffs last year. I think it's a good pick. Los Angeles Rams, I like them. I like Gurley. I like Goff. I wish they had more offensive weapons, but that defense is great. So I'm going to take those guys. And then I'm taking Minnesota because my boy Kirk Cousins is there. And I'm also going to take New Orleans as my final wild card pick. So there you go. That's my picks for who's going to get into the playoffs. Chris Adams, we hear about you.
Yeah. So if you're expecting to hear a lot of differences between the two of us and have us go back and forth and fight over it, you might want to watch a different video, because the way the teams break down this year in the AFC and the NFC, I agree with a lot of what Matt said. So we're going to have a lot of similarities here. So in the AFC, again, I'm going to take the Patriots in the East.
The Patriots.
Yeah, Pats, the Patriots, whatever. I mean, it's stupid not to. They're one of the best, most dominant franchises in recent history. And as Matt said, it has been a really crap division. I mean, if you look at the last 20 years, starting in 2001 in the Brady-Belichick era, no disrespect to them or anything that team has accomplished, but they have played in one of the worst divisions in football over that time period.
Sorry, Miami Dolphins fans.
Yeah, I mean, the Dolphins and the Bills have been two of the consistently worst teams during that period, and the Jets had a couple of decent teams with Rex Ryan and Mark Sanchez as your freaking quarterback. So that should tell you everything you need to know right there about that division over the years. And it's no, spoiler alert, it's no better this year. Patriots are going to stomp everybody in that division. They're probably going to go 13-3 or 14-2. AFC North, the Steelers, same thing what Matt said. I do not think this Steelers team is as good as some of the recent versions. The defense leaves a lot to be desired. The offense, as long as you got Ben Roethlisberger and Antonio Brown, who knows about Le'Veon Bell? But there's still enough talent there that they should easily cruise through that division. In contrast to the AFC East, the NFC North has probably been the hardest division overall, top to bottom, over the last 20 years.
Well, not top to bottom. The Browns are
yes, the Browns are the perennial doormats, but between the Steelers, the Ravens, and the Bengals, I mean, you've had three pretty good teams there. That's not the case. That's not the case this year. The Steelers are going to win that division. Things may be changing in the future, but for right now, they're still the team to beat there. The South, the Jaguars. Their defense is amazing. They have a strong running game. Blake Bortles. We're going to see what's going to happen. If Andrew Luck is back to being Andrew Luck this year, the Colts might challenge. If Deshaun Watson...
The problem with the Colts is they got nothing else.
Yeah, they have nothing else. But, same thing. They could challenge. If Deshaun Watson returns to form, Houston could challenge. Tennessee is okay.
Yeah.
The South is a pretty solid division top to bottom, but I think the Jags are still the best team. Out west, I'm also going to take the Chargers, kind of similar to what Matt said. There's not a great team out there, but I like the fact that they've got a veteran quarterback, a pretty good running back, pretty good receiver, and a very strong defense, right? I too, as Matt said, I'm going to take Houston. I think Deshaun Watson's going to come back. You come back strong. You pair him with what they've got going on defense. I think they easily take one of the wild card positions. I am not going to take the Browns for the second wild card.
This guy, not Homer enough.
I don't know. I've been accused of being Homer in my life, but I'm not going to take the Browns here. I love what they're doing. I'm going to take Kansas City Chiefs. That's a team that's been in the playoffs for the last few years. They're breaking in a new quarterback, but they still have the same great players with Kareem Hunt and Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill on offense. Still have a pretty good defense. There's enough talent. There's enough pieces in there. Chiefs get in as the second wild card there. All right, so let me do my NFC.
NFC, yeah.
And again, there's not going to be a ton of a difference here between me and Matt.
The good teams are the good teams.
Yeah, the good teams are the good teams, right? Philadelphia is going to win the East. Nick Foles proved that he's probably the best backup QB in football. He can carry them until Carson Wentz is back.
Should be next week, maybe.
They've got their whole team back. They should win in that division. I think the rest of the division is weaker. Washington's going to be weaker without Cousins. Dallas, who knows? The Giants, who knows? So I think actually Philadelphia should cruise in the East. Little difference here. I'm taking Minnesota. They're going to get Dalvin Cook back. They have one of the best defenses in the league. They got two really good receivers. They've got all the talent, a strong offensive line. They've got everything you need, and now they're adding a quarterback to that. And a quarterback who can make things happen, who can hit open receivers, who can lead. And this is also a team that got smoked in the NFC Championship last year, and they're going to come back hungry. And I think they carry that all the way through to a division championship. Speaking of teams that have a chip on their shoulder, I think the New Orleans Saints have a Stephon Diggs-sized chip on their shoulder. I think they're going to win the South.
That's crazy.
They had that game won and maybe a clear path to the Super Bowl last year. They've got Drew Brees. I'm going to talk a little bit more about the Saints later in this prediction video, but I think that they're going to be in the South with Kamara and Mark Ingram coming back after 4 games. Michael Thomas, who's probably one of the top wide receivers in football. Can't believe he went in the second round. Urban Meyer cost him a ton of money.
He's catching up. He'll catch it up.
He'll catch up. Yes, we'll have more on that when we do our receiver ranking video. But yeah, I love the Saints a ton. And then as the wild cards, this is just flip on. I'm going to take the Packers and I'm going to take Atlanta. Hard to argue against Aaron Rodgers. He's going to have his team in every year. You got a guy like him. He was number 1 on our quarterback rankings. The Packers are always going to be in the mix. I think they don't win the division this year, but they sneak in as the wild card. And then Atlanta.
It's hard to not take Atlanta at this point, right?
Yeah. In the NFC, we're pretty much the same. We just were different a little bit on division winners versus wild cards.
Who's going to the Super Bowl? Who's winning the Super Bowl? I'm taking the Pats versus Minnesota. So I've got.
You didn't take Minnesota to win the division, but you have them going through the gauntlet as a wild card.
I like wild card team. I like Minnesota. I think they're built for this. I like the Pats, obviously, because how can you gamble against them at this point? I don't know. Like a lot of hot picks right now are the Steelers. I get that. I see why they're a hot pick. I just don't trust them. I just don't trust what they can do on defense. I'm going to take the Pats versus Minnesota. And unfortunately for lots of people out there in the world, I'm taking the Pats to win.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. So in the AFC, I too am taking the Patriots to the Super Bowl. It's hard to go against them, right? I think the only chance Pittsburgh has is if somebody trips up the Patriots early. Now, I will say, I did pick Kansas City. And if there's one team that has sort of had the Patriots number over the last couple of years, it's the Chiefs, right? If you go back, I mean, it's just regular season, but the Chiefs have had some pretty lopsided victories over the Patriots in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
So maybe if the Chiefs end up playing the Patriots and they can beat them early, then Pittsburgh can kind of clean up after that. But I think New England is very far in the Steelers' heads. I don't think that the Steelers really have a chance to beat the Patriots. And I showed last year they couldn't get past the Jags. So I think it's stupid not to pick the Patriots to coming out of the AFC. In the NFC, I kind of tipped this a little bit earlier, but I love the Saints. Love what they're doing. They had one of the best drafts in recent history a year ago.
Yeah.
Got this giant chip on their shoulder after how things ended last year. Also, their addition of Teddy Bridgewater, I think that's telling. I think that is putting a clock on Drew Brees. And again, I have no inside info on this, but maybe Brees has told the New Orleans ownership that, hey, this is my last year. So they went out and got Bridgewater as maybe a potential heir to the future. So I expect Brees to be playing,
Lights out.
balling out this year. And it's going to be Patriots versus Saints in the Super Bowl. And again, I'm sticking on this New Orleans chip on the shoulder. I think the Saints get it done. I think the Saints beat the Patriots. And yes, I do think Drew Brees will ride off into the sunset after that.
Well, there you go. You got our picks for the 2018-2019 NFL season. Not a whole lot of differences, but differences where it really matters, I think.
At the championship level.
So I hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, enjoy the start of the NFL season.